And the other two games, the Los Angeles Kings at the Winnipeg Jets and the Nashville Predators at the Colorado Avalanche. So those are the games for the Hockey League. In the NBA, as you all know, all the players are starting to report back to training camp. They're all back now with the NBA exhibition season coming up next week. We're only a few weeks away from the NBA season tipping off October 29th. For your report for Sports World Radio, I am Sean Mann, your update man and co-host. Now I send it back over to my good buddy and friend and host of Sports World Radio, Jeff Eskow. Take it away, Jeff.
And that update was brought to you by BuyHuntingEquipment.com. For all your camping, fishing, hiking, and hunting gear, head on over to BuyHuntingEquipment.com. That's BuyHuntingEquipment.com. All right, welcome back to the show. Good update. For the life of me, I'm sitting here trying to figure out why in the world Roger Goodell wouldn't make the call and just have the game switched. I don't understand.
A vast virus database has been updated.
I hate when it does that too.
I know.
Yeah,
I
don't understand it either. I saw that a few days ago, but they're probably realizing we need to give the groundskeepers. Look, you know something? When the Giants and the Jets played, I remember there's an example about this. I think it was in 2002. Mm-hmm. The Giants had to play a Saturday afternoon game. They won that, clinched a playoff spot. It didn't give the groundskeepers enough time to change the whole stadium to Jets, and then they had to do that, and then they were able to get the game in. You know what? Oakland A's do not play on Sunday, and they should just go back to the format of realizing, let's put it as a late afternoon game, and then it won't be such a hassle. But now they're going to be playing it late, and you're right. I agree with you, Jeff. I can't believe that people would want to be watching that game, especially on the East Coast, because then on the East Coast, everybody's going to be like really, really tired getting out of bed because it's like, why didn't they put it as an afternoon game? I think Roger Goodell really screwed up on this one.
And you know damn well the people who work for ESPN are going to be up watching that game.
Yep, ESPN, NFL Network, you got it.
You know that. So those people who get up early in the morning are going to have to be able to report on the game. So you know that there's going to be people late. Listen, CBS out here, knowing that the game is going on at 8:30, which is prime time, you know what they're doing with their prime time shows?
What?
They're starting them at midnight. So their show at 8 o'clock goes on at midnight. The show at 9 o'clock goes on at 1 a.m., and the show that goes on at 10 o'clock goes off at 2 a.m. You think anybody's going to watch those episodes of those shows? You're crazy. They should have just freaking swapped the home games. It would have been simple.
Well, remember, we did shows too, Jeff. Remember it with Baltimore? The Ravens were supposed to play a game to get their Super Bowl rings, and that didn't happen because the Baltimore Orioles were actually playing a home game a couple weeks ago against the Chicago White Sox. So it just – I don't know what's with the commissioners these days, but they really need to screw up.
They're both being very hard-nosed. They're both being very hard-nosed. Exactly what it is. You're not screwing up my league. You're not screwing up my league. Roger Goodell, if you had any smarts on the top of your head, which I know you do, all you would have had to done was just flip-flop the home games between Oakland and San Diego. And all this would have been averted.
But no, we have to have a game at 11:35 p.m. Eastern, which is 8:35 p.m. Pacific.
To me, it doesn't matter. It's great because it gives me another football game to watch Sunday night. So it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? In fact, I'm getting 2 games on CBS, 2 games on Fox, the NBC game, and then the Charger game after that. So I'm looking at 4, 5, 6 games on Sunday I get to watch. Oh, football. Not counting the freaking baseball games that'll be on.
You're in for a snack.
Yeah, that I'll probably end up watching before I watch some of the football games. So it's going to be a complete sports Sunday for me. Complete sports Sunday for me. So
yeah,
it is. It's going to be crazy. I don't know why they did it. I don't understand it. It's stupid. The easiest thing to do would have been just to flip-flop the games. Flip-flop the home games. Have Oakland come down here instead of San Diego going up there now, and then have San Diego go up there later on. I mean, it would have been really easy. But no, you're not smart enough.
In the American League Divisional Series, we swap. We go all the way from the West Coast up to the East Coast. As everybody knows, the
Didn't
Boston
we talk
Red
about
Sox.
That game already?
No, we haven't. I saved it for last.
Damn it.
The Boston Red Sox knew very well that they.
Don't we got to get to a Rat Bastard of the Week?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, you got enough time? Or should we do the Rat Bastard first before we get into this?
Well, we can do it right now.
Because you know what's
going
to happen,
say,
right? You know what's going to happen. We're going to end up talking about this Boston game, and we're not going to get anything to the Rat Bastard.
Well, I'm going to say that I'm going to give it to Major League Baseball for their whole playoff format and MLB Network. And I just, with you getting up and realizing, gosh, I don't have the MLB Network, it makes perfect sense.
At 10 o'clock in the morning, you're putting a freaking game on? 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. I'm okay with that on a Saturday or a Sunday, but not on a Friday. Hey, there's people at work here at 10 o'clock in the morning, you jackass.
And there's people on the East Coast that are doing the same thing. So I went with the MLB Network and thought that was kind of a screwy deal and stuff. If I had to work, I'd be like, dang, I'm not going to be able to see how that game turns out because I have to be at work. And I was like thinking, put it on. If you're going to put a game on, 2 with the TNT and 2 on TBS would be very simple.
Yeah, I mean, even a schmuck like myself can figure that out. I mean, come on.
That's your candidate.
I'm with you on it.
I put MLB for the playoff formats on television.
Yes, I'm with you on that because that's good. And then I like to throw in the NFL and Roger Goodell for this whole fiasco of this Oakland and Charger thingy that's going on there. They're getting an honorary thing just for this Oakland San Diego thing that they did.
The Charger.
He wasn't smart. Right. He wasn't smart enough to say, while those two teams are in the same division, they play twice a year. What do you say we just flip-flop their home games? Wow. Oh, my God. That's so smart. Roger Goodell, you're a genius. Dumbass.
Yeah, so that is your... Actually, you know what? That's 2 candidates, and I can't wait to see what the votes will be when we have the Rat Bastard of the Month.
And you want to know something? Mm-hmm. I'm glad that the Army-Navy game is going to be played. Even though the government is shut down, I'm glad that those kids get to still play and beat the crap out of each other. Because that's what that game is all about. So I'm glad for that. Okay?
Yep.
Listen, the government shut down, but we ain't. We're still here doing what we're supposed to be doing.
As always.
Right? And
it should be.
And are we getting paid to do this? No. You'd think we'd shut down, wouldn't you? No. We're still here. Come on, government. So, if the government shut down, that means I don't have to pay any of my taxes, right?
Yep.
Good. Screw you. I hate that. That's ridiculous. The government shut down, but still we have to pay our taxes. What the hell? Explain that to me. Jackasses. Okay, I just wanted to get that out. Move on.
Well, it's good to vent because we got some good candidates right now. We got 2 candidates for that Rat Bastard of the Month when we get toward the end of October. The game, and we got to get to the next game. The Boston Red Sox knew very well
I thought he would forget about that game, guys. I tried.
The Boston Red Sox knew very well that it was time to put 4 years behind them after what had been a long 2 years. 2011, the worst collapse in history. 2012, dealing with Bobby Valentine and fried chicken and beer.
I asked you this question when you and I were talking. We weren't on the air. Now I'm going to ask you this question on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, when the Boston Red Sox were falling apart, everybody and their mother was talking about them, right? Right?
Yeah, everybody was. Everybody was saying, well, now, what's the matter with them?
Right. Now, this year, they're playing great. They're in the playoffs, and nobody's talking about them.
Nobody really is, because I believe that what ended up happening is that a lot of people said, well, you got to watch out. They'll start returning to normal. They'll start competing again. And today you saw just how big they were. They came out and really pounded Tampa Bay in what was a really big game for them, because they know very well that they know about the history with the Rays. They lost in 7 games in the 2008 ALCS. They lost on the final night to them in the 2011 Game 162, which ended in a nightmare for me. And everybody was wondering how I would take it. Well, it took some time to get over that, but life went on. But now, and they had to overcome the beer and the chicken and the video
right, and
games.
you were miserable last year, right?
Miserable because we were so bad. We finished in last place,
right.
but this year has been different because bringing in Farrell.
Right, you were miserable last year, so we talked about the debacle, and we talked about this, and we talked about that, and we talked about this, and we talked about that. This year they bring in John Farrell, and we don't talk about him at all.
Farrell,
and not just us, but nobody else either, because there's no what's that word I'm looking for? There's nothing going on in the clubhouse. There's no fighting. There's nothing going on. Everything's getting along. Everybody, they're playing great. Everything is going the way it should be going.
Well, one thing I knew, Jeff, after Bobby Valentine was fired, I thought they need to find somebody who can communicate with that team, bring a relaxed atmosphere to the clubhouse, and realize we can put last year behind. Farrell was asked about last year, and he says, he goes, quote, I think from what happened last year to the guys who were on that 2012 team, they were frustrated. They were angry. And he goes, so I told them when we got to spring training, we're going to be good this year, and we're going to forget about 2012 and focus on 2013. And that's exactly what he has done. And the Red Sox have been through a lot because, the Boston bombing from the marathon, they had to go through that awful tragedy. And then that brought the whole team together. And today they really just outplayed the Rays. And if they do that, they're going to be unstoppable the whole way. I can't get overconfident because I know 12-2 is big, but I know the whole story with Joe Madden and the Rays. He really tries to make sure to get his team prepared. And for a while, the Rays were looking like that, but then Boston just exploded in the fourth inning and blew them out.
So one game exploded. One freaking game. Oh, my God. You're like calling the series over already.
Well, I'm not calling it over because I don't want to get overconfident.
So let me ask you something. So tomorrow, Tampa Bay blows out Boston. And I'm going to say, look at that. They blew out Boston. They're getting ready to take over this series. What are you going to say?
I'm going to say, forget it. Move on. Get ready to go down there and take a game down there.
Exactly. It's one game. Tampa Bay has been traveling all over freaking United States and Canada for the last week and a half. They're freaking tired, for Jimmy Cricket's sakes.
They detailed it, too, in the whole description, how they had to go to New
4,
York.
Over 4,000 miles in the last, week and a half?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And Boston's been sitting on their ass at home, just sitting there waiting. Come on.
Well, that's what it's about for home field. When you earn it, you can kind of rest up for a while, but then you have to be prepared, ready to play.
You're telling me if Tampa Bay wins tomorrow, they're going to go back to Tampa Bay, back to their home field? Oh, the series is over. You're done.
I don't think it would necessarily come to the fact that they would be done if they got a split, because Boston has even played well at Tropicana Field this year.
Basically, you're telling me if Tampa Bay loses tomorrow, they're done.
I'm telling you that it will not be pretty for them, but I'm not going to get overconfident because you can't just say it's over when it's 2-0. I'm happy that they won because they had not won a playoff game, the Red Sox haven't, since 2008. That was when they beat, of course, the Tampa Bay Rays, and that was Game 6, 4-2.
They haven't won a playoff game since 1990. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
I guess it meant just getting the monkey off their back.
Because the same people that were on that team when last time they won a playoff game aren't on that team now.
Ortiz is the only Pedroia, Ellsbury,
correct. So most of that team doesn't have that experience, so you can't say that. I hate when people say that. The Pittsburgh Pirates haven't been in the playoffs since 1992. Who freaking cares? Nobody was on that team then that are on that team now.
True.
It's a totally different team. They don't know anything about that. I hate when people say that. It doesn't mean a hill of freaking beans. It doesn't, because it's totally two different teams, totally different coaches, and everything.
Yeah, new system, new year for a lot of the new like for Boston and for Pittsburgh and for Tampa Bay.
What they did last year, what they did the year before, what they did the year before that, what they did 10 years ago doesn't freaking matter. It just doesn't. Does it play in any way, shape, or form that the team's going to win in this game today? No, it doesn't matter.
But the objective, though, is to understand that it's important you protect home field. Home field is a very, very